What is up, guys? Sosurike here. Welcome to another episode of Mangalore. Mangalore is a manga podcast where we talk about manga-related things, obviously. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the state of the channel before we get into it. Last week, I told you guys that I wasn't going to be uploading a manga haul video because last week's video was pretty big. You know, it had like 40 volumes, and that's pretty much everything I've picked up. I do have like 10 more volumes I've gotten because there was another package I received and, you know, some other stuff. But it's a pretty good haul. You'll see that next week. If not, I think on February 5th, which is in 3 days. Wow. We're going to be getting some new releases. So expect a new release haul. And then maybe like 5 days after that, expect another manga haul. So yeah, expect that. The Mangalore podcast, I want to switch the date that I upload this to Fridays. I just think that's a good day. You know, maybe Saturdays, as today is Saturday, so I already fucked up with moving it to Friday. I'm behind. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just kind of out of it at the moment. But yeah, the Mangalore podcast. Another thing is I'm be posting on my community section on YouTube. I'll be asking what you guys want me to talk about this week. I'll answer those questions, and then I'll get on to the main topic. This week's topic, we're going to be talking about Shonen more, simply because there's a few series that I forgot to mention, a couple really big series that I forgot to mention, and I wanna tackle it this episode. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get to the questions. So 2 people asked, questions, and I'm not gonna say the usernames because I'm gonna fucking mispronounce them because they're hard. But Peter, see, this is why I'm not saying it. Okay, so the best single volume of manga you've ever read. So this is really hard, and as everyone knows, my favorite manga series of all time is Vagabond, and it's super biased to say that is my favorite volume 1 of any series, and it probably is. I really fucking love the first volume of Vagabond. It completely enamored me. I think so much happens in that first volume. Like, usually series don't have action within the first volume, and that's just like gun-ho from the very beginning, and like some fucked up shit happens, which I personally like. I like when our main character isn't constantly winning. So right in the first volume, he's actually pretty much betrayed by his best friend, and he's very he starts off in Vagabond, he starts off as like this animal. Really, he's an animal, but he has morals, and they shine. It's just his view on the world is a bit clouded with his upbringing and how his father treated him. So it was just right off the bat, there's a lot of different factors going on in our main character, and that really just got me into the story. And Takehiko Inoue just crafted a marvelous story, a marvelous manga series that I wish we would get a completion. But I would for sure say Volume 1 of Vagabond, and I think Volume 1 of both 20th Century Boys and Naoki Urasawa's Monster. I think Monster was really intriguing, seeing just everything go down with Dr. Tenma and Johan, and the ramifications of his actions. And in 20th Century Boys, I think Naoki Urasawa really shines with if you've read any of his works, he fucking loves to throw in conspiracies and secret societies. That's his bread and butter. And I think in 20th Century Boys, it really shines with just how crazy of a cult he's able to create, and what a really insane conspiracy he's foreshadowing. And I think those are 2 of my favorites, and also Spirit Circle, which I'm just really naming my favorite series of all time, honestly. But Spirit Circle is really fucking interesting. And maybe just because I personally have already read Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, and I know how capable this mangaka is, how much of a genius he is, that when I saw, when we were given the exposition, the characters, the conflict, what's going on, why things are happening, and I was just really when he introduced like the Spirit Circle and all the different lives and everything he's gonna have to do, it was like, wow, he's gonna have a good ass time with this. Like, I know he's gonna write it really well. I know this is like, you ever read a series where it's like, wow, they could have done so much better, like what they had it's they had a really good concept, and then they just butcher it. In Spirit Circle, it's like, holy fuck, this concept's really cool and really interesting and done correctly, and it's done really, really well. One of my favorite series of all time. And now that we're kind of talking about Pluto, so obviously I've answered that. What are your favorite single volumes in manga? It's going to be Vagabond, 20th Century Boys, and Monster, and Spirit Circle. And, let's break off from manga a little bit. Just say, if it has to be anime, it would be my favorite first episode in any anime would be Your Lie in April. If it's graphic novels, because I do read a little bit of comics, the only comics that I really have been keeping up with is Deadly Class, which is now getting a show on Sci-Fi. It's a really cool comic that's about, a high school of assassins, and it's really gritty, and it's good. I like it. I have a fun time with that series. And Saga. I bought the first graphic novel, issue 1 of Saga like 4 years ago, and I don't know why, but I never finished it, and I just reread it like a few days ago. And holy fuck, I was in love with it. I love the world. I love how crazy it is. So I'd highly recommend, if you like manga, go pick up Saga. I already ordered the rest of them. Not the rest of them, like another 3. And I can't wait to read those. But yeah. And if it has to be a webtoon, I would say Tower of God is fucking brilliant. And I'd recommend reading that. And a manga would be The Breaker. So those are all like my favorite first of volumes. And usually like whenever something has like a really, really strong first of volume, it later on becomes my favorite series, because usually they're really fucking good. So that took a while. The next question is, how do I think Shonen Jump is doing after the era of the big 3 ended? And then he goes on to say he's happy with reading new Shonen Jump, and I would agree with that. I am very, very, very fucking happy with what Shonen Jump has been doing recently, especially with their app. It's $2 a month, even though it has nothing to do with it, right? But I think that's a good. That shows that the company is going in a good direction when they are cognizant of how fucked their model was, their pay model. Like, everyone's reading it online for free. They're reading scans, so why not pretty much give it to us for free? Like, it's $1.99 a month. That's practically free, but they still get some money. And if they can get like a mere fraction of the people that are reading online who are never going to pay for the Shonen Jump app, if they get them to give them $2 a month, they're winning. But that's like the business aspect, the pay model. How I think the series are doing, I think they're I don't know. I'm a bit of a hypocrite, because I said a couple years ago that they were in the golden age of shonen because of Food Wars and Magi, and this is like 4 years ago. I think Magi ended at that time as well. But Food Wars was fresh. Seven Deadly Sins was fresh. There's a lot of up and coming manga, shonen manga, that was barely getting in to the 10th volume or whatever. They were in the 100 chapters. There's Haikyuu, there's everything. And I was like, damn, dude, this is it, dude. This is the shonen pinnacle. Little did I know that was just, really setting up what I think is one of my favorite eras of Shonen Jump. It's, set up for Promised Neverland. Promised Neverland was around back then, but it was barely coming up, and so was, My Hero Academia. So My Hero Academia, Promised Neverland, Dr. Stone. So those are the pinnacle new boys on the block. Promised Neverland has, I think, around 120 chapters. Dr. Stone has 90. My Hero Academia is already in 200. But I do believe that's a really good foundation for us to start building new series, because I do want Food Wars to end pretty soon. I don't know if it is, but I feel like that series should wrap up. Seven Deadly Sins should be wrapping up soon. Attack on Titan is probably wrapping up soon. And I think our foundation's very strong, and I really like this new direction that Shonen Jump's heading in, where even though Promised Neverland, which is the foundation right now, has already announced that it's probably ending soon, in a year, I'm assuming. And I think that's a really good direction that Shonen Jump is taking, and letting series end, because that is natural. Series need to conclude. If it just keeps going, it's just going to deteriorate and become a series that you no longer like. That's what happened with Food Wars for me personally, and Seven Deadly Sins. Like, they just started becoming something that I didn't like, and I'd rather it just end. I'd rather series end before it can, destroy its name. Sort of kind of what Yu Yu Hakusho did. Like, in a way, that series was deteriorating towards the end. Like, it was really just, you could see that it's becoming something that it wasn't, and then it just wrapped up. I think he could have done a lot more with that final arc, that final tournament. Could have been a better way to say goodbye to the series, but I think it was a smart call. I think Togashi wrapped it up, and now it's, one of the greatest shonens of all time. But I think that series could have really gone downhill, and I think Shonen Jump needs to acknowledge that and say that not every series can be Oda's One Piece. We need to let things end naturally. We can't tell them to, hey, fucking try to get another 40 chapters, but wrap it up and then work on something new. It's a bit scary because, a lot of the times these mangakas will never do anything close to what they're famous for. I don't think the man behind Toriko is ever going to do anything as big as Toriko. I hope he does, because I find Toriko really, really enjoyable at the moment. But it's a scary thing, and I could see why these mangakas would want to keep going, even though like it's just deteriorating, because it's like, I'm probably never going to be this successful again. Why not milk it? But, now Kurosawa has proved it, that it doesn't matter if a series is popular. Now Kurosawa, Inio Asano, Takehiko Inoue, these are the goats. Like, anything they fucking do, it's like, yo, it's me. It's not the fucking series. It's me. That's why I really love mangakas that have multiple series under their belts, because it's like, if you can have multiple badass series, you like prove to everyone, like, dude, I didn't get lucky. I can fucking do this whenever I want. And Satoshi Mizukami was one of them again. Like, if you have multiple really good series, that cements you as like a really badass mangaka. So I really hope that Shonen Jump can, have these guys, stop a series when it's really good and be like, hey, this is like the pinnacle. This is Bleach at its pinnacle. How about you just wrap it up after Aizen, and try to do something else. Just for all those Bleach haters out there who hated the Blood War, I don't. That's Bleach is one of those series where, fuck, man, it had so much promise. It's another series like I talked about earlier where like they had such a good concept, and that's like early on the battles were really cool. The whole Bankai system was dope, and then you just shit the bed, So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the main topic of the video. Even though we only have like 10 more minutes left, but there's only really 2 series that I wanted to talk about. This Mangalore is really all over the place, but hey, next week hopefully will be a better subject material, and hopefully you guys can give me more questions. So maybe I can make the Mangalore longer, answer questions, and talk about the topic for 20 minutes, and then we have a good day. So yeah, remember to ask me questions, maybe in the comments as well, or in my community tab. Ask me questions on what you'd like me to talk about. Please, 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 I implore you to do so. But let's go ahead and talk about the 2 series that I forgot to mention. Everyone was talking about it in the comments. Thank you guys for commenting on last week's Mangalore. I forgot about fucking Vinland Saga. I don't know how I forgot about Vinland Saga, but I did. And let me move my mic a little bit. Okay. I fucking love Vinland Saga. It is probably in my top 10 of all time list. And something really funny happened actually, is I actually reread Vinland Saga like a week and a half before I made that Mangalore talking about seinen manga. So it was fresh in my mind. And I knew it. I had a volume right there. I was like, all right, these are the volumes I'm going to talk about. And I just completely fucking forgot it. So, Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is essentially the Viking version of Vagabond. Vagabond is samurai theme in Japan, and Vinland Saga, Norseman themed, the Viking locations. It's essentially that. It really does follow the same model of, this boy who is really an animal in a sense, who has to go through a lot of hardships to find out what it really means to be a true warrior, which is the same thing in Vagabond, what it means to have true strength, to be unrivaled under the sun. It really does derive from the same concepts, But I can't just say, yeah, Vagabond Vinland Saga just copied Vagabond, because it's really, that story has been told so many times before, of this, reckless youth who goes on a journey to find what real strength is, and realizes that it's nothing what he figured. It's not really about being strong. It's more about principles and morality and being a good overall person. And what it really means to have power and strength is like, you'd want that, but at the end of the day, you really just want a family, and you want to relax, and you just want to have peace and quiet. And those are the things you learn in Vagabond and Vinland Saga. And a funny thing about Vinland Saga is, when I was reading it 3 or 4 years ago, my favorite arcs were the earlier arcs. I really, really enjoyed early on. And now that I reread it for the second time, my favorite arcs are the later half. I like, a little spoiler, not really, I'm not going to talk in depth, but there's a time skip. We'll call it the farm skip. I really, really fucking enjoyed the farm skip. And what happens afterwards, I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, I'm kind of just like backing off a little bit, because there really isn't that much content at the moment, and it's very slow releases. I think there's a chapter every month or something like that. So I'm kind of like chilling, but I'm actually really liking the later half of the series more. And I think that has to do with me as a person evolving. It's really interesting to see, because when I was younger, 4 years ago, I liked the early stuff. I liked the action, I liked the gore, I liked everything that was going on. And then now as I grow older, it's like, I kind of like him finding his virtues and what it really means to him, and when he's willing to fight, what is worth fighting for. I think we'll leave it at that. Vinland Saga, learning what is worth fighting for. So now we talk about Vinland Saga. The other series that I don't think I talked about is Kingdom. So Kingdom is essentially like the seinen One Piece, and how I can really justify that is there's a bunch of conflict, a bunch of wars, and what I really like about that of Kingdom is we see these characters, and then we'll not see them for 100 chapters, and then we'll see them again, and characters they die. There's some characters that die, obviously, but they'll leave and they'll come back, and they have effects on the story. And that's what I really like about One Piece is you'll see a character in chapter 300, and then 400 chapters later you see him again. You're like, damn, what has he been up to? It makes the world feel really alive and fleshed out. It makes it feel like a character of its own. And that's what I really like about Kingdom, is that the world is really, really, really alive, and these characters all have their own backstory, and there's all this political drama and maneuvers, and people trying to become the king, and people trying to take over all these areas, and it's really badass, and the fight scenes are really good. And what I really like about it is our character progression of our main character. Shin is dope, seeing him grow and seeing his, band become stronger, going from, 100 squad leader to, 5,000 squad commander is really insane. Next is general. And it's just crazy. And the battles are epic on an epic scale. The bad guys sometimes are really fucking dope, and you kind of want to cheer for them. The antagonists are really unique, and seeing Shin and his comrades grow is really, really fucking worthwhile. I'd highly recommend Kingdom, especially if you're really into long-running series, because I think it's currently around 600 chapters, somewhere around there, honestly. I haven't really been keeping up with it. I tend to let the chapters pile up and then go back into it. But I'd highly recommend Kingdom, especially if you like long binge reads. That is a series that you will for sure binge read. Fucking great series. Highly recommend Kingdom. Highly recommend Vinland Saga. And let's wrap up this Mangalore. It's been a little short, but what are we gonna wrap it up with? I've been reading Pluto. If you haven't read Pluto, it's by Naoki Urasawa, but it's in collaboration with Urasawa. So. Urasawa, what the fuck am I saying? With Tezuka. So how it's doing that is it's building on the world and the lore of Astro Boy, and it's been really good. I'm 4 volumes in, and judging these first 4 volumes, it's not my favorite of his works. It's really good, don't get me wrong, but I prefer the first 4 volumes of 20th Century Boys and Monster. I really, really like it, don't get me wrong. It's fucking amazing, But I don't know. I just like the other two better, but we'll see when I finish it up. I can't really judge it as of now. I really want to make an in-depth video of it because I do believe this is one manga that really everyone should read because of our state of AI culture. I'll call it the AI culture. I think right now we're like on the edge of we're like on the frontier. We're the AI frontier where AI is everywhere, you know, with every phone having some, you know, iteration of Siri or Hey Google, with Amazon Alexa and, you know, Google Home being so fucking cheap. You know, they're practically giving these things away now. A couple years ago when they came out, they were pretty expensive, but now they're like, you can get one for $25. They're practically giving it away because they want to, you know, evolve. They want to evolve the AI exponentially, and the only way to do that is by having them in as many households as possible. And I think that's where we're at right now. And it's crazy because I think in 10, 20 years, it's going to be fucking nuts with how far AI is going to come. And Pluto really does ask these crazy questions, or it depicts this world in which humans and robots live. I don't want to say cohesively because there's problems. There's this thing that I really like about it so far is the robot laws, essentially robot human rights in a way. It's a question that is really weird, and it's weird to think about it because right now essentially robots are our slaves. But what happens when they're giving consciousness? We have to essentially they're no longer our slaves. We have to give them rights. So if AI evolves, we will no longer have robots as slaves, which is a scary thing to think about, that these machines will now essentially be on our level. But that does come down to what it means to be human, what it means to have a consciousness, and we just have to be wary of that. Another thing that I really like about Naoki Kurosawa is he fucking loves cults, and it's a really, really interesting detail that I found in the story. Well, what I extrapolated from it, at least. I really want to make an in-depth video once I complete the series, but there's essentially a KKK, but for robots. You know, they hate robots. They want them all destroyed and whatnot. You know, in any science fiction novel or movie, there's always a group of people like that. But what I found it really interesting was it's like it proves that humanity in us is ingrained this need to hate, you know, and if it's not hating people of a different culture or nationality or skin color, it's robots. You know, we always have to have this thing that we hate, and there's always going to be people that have to hate this thing. And I just found that really interesting. Another thing too is like a lot of the times this hate is because of something that's happened to us, and this character who hates these robots is because, you know, something happened to him. Something had to trigger this robot hate. And it's not innate hate. It's just an experience, which I think is really, really cool and really, really awesome. It's just a really good story. It's not my favorite work as of yet, but we'll see how it ends. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys stay tuned for the next manga haul, manga collection update. I don't know. We'll see what we do. I want to do a Pluto video, but I'll do that like in a month or something. I really want to work on it. So you guys have a great day. Hope you guys liked the Mangalore, and I hope you guys comment down below what I should talk about next week. And yeah, just comment anything. I love talking to you guys. You guys have a great day. Toast your cat out.